Hey there! Why do you want to hear motivational tapes? For the ultimate success, happiness, health, and wealth, to value success and failure equally, to learn something new and be inspired, to increase knowledge about various fields, subscribe to us and stay tuned for endless motivation.
Here are 7 rules you can apply to any challenge that you face in achieving anything you desire. Rule number 1, the most important key to achieving great success is to decide upon your goal and then launch. Get started, take action, do something, move. A 12-year study at Babson College concluded that the act of taking the first step is what separates the losers from the winners, or the winners from the losers. We set out at the age of 20 with $300 each to cross 3 continents and travel 17,000 miles from Vancouver on the west coast to Johannesburg in southern Africa. And we made it in just under 12 months. But the most important step was the first one. All the rest followed from that. Number 2, once you've launched towards your goal, never consider the possibility of failure. The Germans have a saying, it's immer vorne, nie zurück. Immer vorne, nie zurück. And it means always forward, never backward. Always forward, never backward. Never consider the possibility of failure. Every person here is here because they refused to quit when the going got rough. Your ability to persist in the face of setbacks and disappointments is vital to all great achievement, and it's always a decision that you make. It's not the external environment, it's always the internal environment. Number 3, the biggest goal in the world can be accomplished if you just take it 1 oil barrel at a time. Thomas Carlyle once wrote that our great business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance, but to do what lies clearly at hand. The only time you will ever have is now. If you live every day, every hour, the best you can, the rest will take care of itself. As the Bible says, sufficient unto the day are the cares thereof. Number 4, watch out for the naysayers. The negative people around you are always telling you that you'll die in the desert. Get around positive people. Get around winners like people in this room. Fly with the eagles. And refuse to listen to objections and reasons why you can't succeed. Someone once said that if every possible objection must first be overcome, nothing will ever get done. And truer words were never spoken. Number 5, welcome obstacles and difficulties as valuable and inevitable steps on the ladder of success. Remember, the difficulties come not to obstruct, but to instruct. Difficulties come not to obstruct, but to instruct. Our trip to Africa was one problem after another. We ran out of money over and over. We strained every muscle of our bodies trying to ride bicycles across France and Spain. Our Land Rover broke down again and again. We suffered from dysentery and heat stroke and exhaustion. But when it was time, we were ready for the Sahara crossing. In retrospect, we saw clearly that without the lessons that we had learned from our mistakes, we would have surely died in the desert. And when you look back on any achievement, you will find it was preceded by many difficulties and many lessons. They are the price that you pay for your success, and no success is possible without them. Number 6, be clear about your goal, but be flexible about the process of achieving it. Be willing to change, to try something new. Keep your mind open and fluid and flexible. Be willing to accept feedback from your environment and correct your course. This is a key quality of peak performers. They're not rigid, they're flexible. Remember, it's not what you have, but what you do with what you have that separates winners from losers. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to what happens to you that counts. In the final analysis, your response to the adversity of life is the real measure of who you are and what you're made of. The Greek philosopher Epictetus once said that circumstances do not make the man or woman, they merely reveal him to himself. When you find out who you really are when you face adversity. And remember, number 7, the last rule is, nobody does it alone. At every step on our journey across Africa, people helped us with advice and with food and with assistance and with money, but especially with warmth and with kindness and with generosity. When life is over, it will be the people that we lived and laughed and loved with that we remember more than anything else. So don't be afraid to ask for help from others. It's a mark of strength and courage and character. And don't be reluctant to give of yourself to others generously. It's the mark of caring and compassion and personal greatness. The reason the Sahara story was so relevant for me was that because after the Sahara, I never felt that there was anything I couldn't do. I felt programmed for success for life, although it took me many years to understand it. And the reason why this story may be of interest to you is because I believe that everyone has a Sahara to cross, perhaps more than one. Many of you are crossing your own Saharas right now. Everyone eventually goes through periods of great difficulty, their own private hells, their dark nights of the soul. But it is by facing whatever life gives us with courage and determination that we grow more surely toward the stars. Let me leave you with the last verse of Carry On. There are some who drift out in the deserts of doubt, and some who in negativity wallow. There are others I know who in piety go because of a heaven to follow. But to labor with zest and to give of your best for the sweetness and joy of the giving, to help folks along with a hand and a song, why there's the real sunshine of living. Carry on, fight the good fight and true. There's big work to do. Believe in your mission, greet life with a cheer. There's big work to do, and that's why you're here. Carry on, let the world be the better for you. So at last when you die, let this be your cry. Carry on, my soul, carry on. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will resolve, with whatever life hands you, to carry on, there is nothing that can stop you from achieving the greatness for which you were created. Thank you.
Your time is your most valuable asset, and your ability to use your time, to spend your time well, largely determines your success and your income and everything that happens to you. And this brings us to what we call the law of forced efficiency. Now, the law of forced efficiency says there is never enough time to do everything, but there's always enough time to do the most important tasks. When you start to get under the gun, you have tremendous pressure. You have to have a job or task or project complete by a certain time. It's amazing how efficient you become. You become forced to be efficient. So the key in using the law of forced efficiency is to get really efficient before you run out of time. And the way you do it is you ask a couple of questions. One of the questions you ask is, what are my most valuable tasks? What are my most important tasks? What are the things that you do each day that are more important than anything else? Another question you can ask is, why am I on the payroll? What results have you been hired to accomplish? Of all the results that you can accomplish, what are the most important results that you could accomplish today? It's amazing. If you ask entrepreneurs, how important are sales to your business? Do you know what they'll say? Oh, they're very important. Then if you follow entrepreneurs around for any period of time, one study showed that the average entrepreneur spends 11% of his time on sales and marketing. And the other 89% of the time is spent just doing busy work. And of course, once you start to do busy work, the busy work increases and increases almost like rabbits multiplying. A third question you can ask for the law of forced efficiency is, what can I and only I do that if done well will make a real difference? Every hour there's an answer to this question for you. What can you and only you do that if done well will make a real difference? This means that if you don't do it, nobody else will do it. But if you do it and you do it well, it can make a difference to your life and to your business. And the final question for forced efficiency is this: what is the most valuable use of my time right now? This is the greatest of all questions in time management. And all the books and tapes and courses and time management systems all come down to the answer to this question. What is the most valuable use of your time right now? Whatever your answer to that question is, minute by minute and hour by hour, be sure that you're working on that and not something else. And you become one of the most efficient people in your business. If you really want to increase your sales and make a lot of money, you have to remember this: relationships are everything. Theodore Levitt of the Harvard Business School, who wrote the book Marketing Myopia, Why It Is That Salespeople Fail, talked about the fact that in the 21st century, relationships are everything. In fact, all selling will be relationship selling. Now, why is this? Well, if you're a normal customer, you've made a lot of mistakes. You've bought things that didn't work out, turned out to be inappropriate. You couldn't get them serviced, couldn't get them repaired. You wished you'd never bought them at all. So now when you go in to see a customer, customers are naturally suspicious. And What you have to do is focus on building a high-trust relationship. What we found today is that customers consider the relationship to actually be more important than the product or service. Because, I hate to tell you, your product or service is available somewhere else. They don't have to buy from you. They can buy from your competitors or not buy at all. And the only reason they're going to buy from you is because they like you, and they believe in you, and they trust you, and they feel that what you say is true. I worked for a large sales organization some years ago that did a $50,000 survey of customers, and they asked them, what is the major reason you decided to buy with our company rather than with some other company? And you know, over 80% said, because I trusted the salesperson more than I trusted the salesperson of the other companies. So remember this, that because of product or service complexity, I don't know how your product or service is made, or serviced, or built, or your back end, or your management, or anything else. Because of all that, I have to hang my hat on something, so I make my decision based on how I feel about you. As far as the customer is concerned, the relationship comes first. So when you go into a sales situation, instead of talking about your product or service, instead of jumping right into the subject, take the time to ask a lot of questions about the prospect and the prospect situation, and get to know and understand the prospect and what he or she needs and wants and is concerned about before you ever start talking about your product or service. That's the key to building great relationships. That's the key to building great sales.
So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world but keep the sky on your mind. Fly.